The Bears need to start pulling out everything they can in order to land Ben Johnson. As recently on 1010 XL Jax Sports Radio, Ben Johnson wants to go to the Jacksonville Jaguars over the Chicago Bears. This connection started when the Lions played the Jaguars earlier this year, and it has only gotten stronger. All the power, all the say, he practically be running the franchise, and that's tough news for the Bears, according to reports. Not only that, Mark Brunell, Lions quarterbacks coach, wants the Jaguars job as well, and him and Johnson are very close and have done a very good job working together. But the Bears do have a few advantages that if they do this right, we can still get him, but it's not going to be as easy as we thought. I'm here to break it all down for you guys, but hello everyone and welcome back to this episode of Just Another Year Chicago Bears. My name is Nick Brody, and as always, thank you for tuning in. Now, before I get more into this episode, hit that like button if you want Ben Johnson to come to the Chicago Bears. I know I'd be smashing that like button because this is the guy that could take this team to new heights and help Caleb Williams develop even more into an elite NFL quarterback. So let's jump into the report that I was hitting on earlier this week on 1010 XL Jax Sports Radio. Connections to Mark Brunell, who is the quarterbacks coach of the Detroit Lions, told reporters that, quote, "I know Mark Brunell very well, and Ben Johnson wants the Jaguars job. He likes Trevor Lawrence, and if Ben goes, Mark is going to follow him as well. The two are very close, and being the Detroit Lions quarterbacks coach, he would be the Jaguars quarterbacks coach again," unquote. Mark Brunell is, again, the quarterback's coach of the Detroit Lions, and as it was said right there, if Ben Johnson goes, he's bringing already a top guy along with him as well. They are very close and both like the young Jacksonville Jaguars offense, and overall roster is attractive to come to, and they could make a Lions 2.0 juggernaut. Along with that, according to Albert Breer, one of the most popular NFL insiders right now, has the Jaguars also getting Ben Johnson after a mailbag answer earlier this week. It said, quote, "I think that the Jacksonville Jaguars could be the Johnson team. And if they are, I think Commander's assistant Lance Newmark would be the name to watch for their general manager position. But that's an educated guess from my internal sources," unquote. That would be a disaster for the Chicago Bears, as Ben Johnson, we all know, is the best offensive mind on the head coach market this year at the moment, who would lead the Chicago offense to having new heights. But there is some good news from another deep NFL insider that has it going the opposite way. According to Tom Pelissero, the Bears are still Johnson's desired landing spot. And that's what I like to hear, especially from Tom, who is legitimately the number one NFL insider in the NFL at the moment. And he earlier this week said, quote, "My understanding is Ben Johnson is intrigued by the Bears job, and he is going to be willing to listen. There's a lot to like about Chicago with Caleb Williams, tons of cap space, extra draft resources, also a major market. Along with that, they're expected to break ground on the new stadium next year. Team president Kevin Warren has a lot of connections around the league from several decades of pro and college football, and that's allowed them to jumpstart on the search process, gathering background as part of what is expected to be a thorough search led by Ryan Poles and Kevin Warren. Interviews with current NFL assistants like Ben Johnson cannot begin until the regular season is over after next Monday," unquote. So it sounds like there is that big chance, and Ben Johnson being intrigued a part of in the Bears job is obviously big. We've also seen him express his, high praise for Caleb Williams, saying that he's special, he's creative, he's got a great arm, and he's a great quarterback. He said that a few weeks ago, right before the Bears played the Lions at Soldier Field. Along with that, too, Ben Johnson was willing to come to the Chicago Bears as their head coach last year. Obviously, the job wasn't offered to him. A big reason why he stayed in Detroit, but also he wanted to win and potentially win a Super Bowl. And having that experience in Detroit, seeing the Bears 6 times over the last 3 seasons, along with seeing how this roster works, how it's progressed, how Ryan Poles runs things, and also learning from how Detroit runs things, their success, going to the playoffs and having all these different experiences only makes him an even more desirable candidate, and the Bears are a position where he could become a legend coming here and giving the Bears success. Now, quickly in the comment section below, I want to hear what you guys would offer Ben Ben Johnson for him to come to the Chicago Bears? Me, give this man a blank check. I don't care what it costs. He is worth every single penny as it shows on paper. And if I'm the Bears, you have to re-sign Ryan Poles along with Ben Johnson to know that the pair are put together. But Ben Johnson deserves that big head coach money because it looks like he is the next big head coach of the future of this league. And he could be like a Sean McVay, and Ben Johnson's the guy to bring in. And before I get more into what Chicago has to offer, hit that subscribe button, please, if you haven't already, to stay up to date on all Chicago Bears news and notifications for free. And if you're subscribed, hit the bell button. Help us hit 23,000 subscribers by next Friday and start the new year off on a good note. So why do the Bears still have a chance? Well, let me just break it down a little bit from my perspective and a little bit more research. Chicago has an insanely young team like the Jacksonville Jaguars. The average age on the Chicago Bears right now is 26.3 years old, and that will only go down with the final year contract guys like Keenan Allen leaving, who's 33, Mercedes Lewis, who's 40, Matt Pryor, who's 30 years old, Coleman Shelton, who's 31 years old, and they're all going to be off the roster, taking that number down. And I did the math. It puts it at a 25.4. Pretty significant. This means that Ben Johnson will have longevity for the roster that he's given, shape them into the best players possible, and win for a long time versus a short stint. Guys like Jalen Johnson, Cole Kmet, Roma Dunze, Caleb Williams, DJ Moore, Kyler Gordon, Javon Dexter Sr., Darnell Wright, all under 26 years old, and young starters with experience that allow Ben Johnson to build quickly. We also have a young and promising defense, and we're just a few trench pieces away. Having 4 to 5 picks in the first 3 rounds, 5 picks if Ian Cunningham leaves for a general manager job, which we get another 3rd round pick, allows them to address key areas of need for this defense in the trenches, along with the offensive line, which Ben Johnson can build up. Take a top defensive lineman in the first 2 rounds and an edge in one of your 3rd round picks and maybe a free agent, and the trenches are set for a long time. And Ben Johnson also can use his connections along with Ryan Poles and Kevin Warren's connections to bring the best defensive coordinator in. So Ben Johnson doesn't even have to worry about it that much. And also, any defensive coordinator is going to want to take this Bears defense. Young guys like TJ Edwards, Jalen Johnson, Kevin Byard, who's a leader, not young, but a leader and playing at a top level, Javon Dexter Sr., Montez Sweat, Jaquan Brisker, Andrew Billings, leaders like Tremaine Edmonds, then depth guys like Tremel Smith, Tyreek Stevenson, DeMarcus Walker. The list goes on and on and on. And be able to have that a part of your defensive roster and walk into that with your game plan would be absolutely massive, along with the picks that the Bears are going to bring in. Overall, an easy pickup for anyone that comes in and not too much to focus on, and bringing a DC in that Ben Johnson wants and allowing him to focus on the offense. More attractive market than Jacksonville as well. Chicago's the 4th biggest market at the moment. Johnson coming here has endless opportunities, and knowing guys will want to play for the Bears and play for Johnson, along with building a winning culture and the fans would be behind everybody, he could become a legend instantly. And if he can break the curse, create a winning culture like Detroit, which it's been like for the last 3 years, and now Johnson has a lot of playoff experience, he'd be treated like Mike Ditka status if he wins a Super Bowl here. Not only that, and again, a big offseason, $82.1 million in cap available before the adjustment, 8 picks at the moment, could be 9, 4 of them in the first 3 rounds, could be 5 potentially, and a young core is all under contract still with cap, and Ryan Poles does a good job there. And the final piece, we have Caleb Williams, a young quarterback that Johnson has talked about so many times, and being his play caller, that is what Johnson can give and make him an elite quarterback. Along with that, he can bring in Antoine Randall L., who's a Chicagoland local guy, as maybe his wide receiver coach, pass game coordinator coach, even offensive coordinator, to help unlock Caleb's targets, and this team would just go to new heights. Ben Johnson looks at Caleb Williams and says, wow, you have 19 touchdowns with only 6 interceptions, 1 in the last 10 games, with over 3,200 passing yards, with 2 head coaches, 3 offensive coordinators, and one of the worst offensive lines in franchise history. Johnson would be the play caller that takes this kid to more than 4,000 yards, to more than 30 passing touchdowns, keeping his interceptions low and being with him for a long time. This team could do everything. And that's why George McCaskey needs to write a blank check to Ben Johnson to come to Chicago. Ben Johnson's not a for sure thing, but we do have more to offer. And I think that he could come to this team. He's played them a lot. He knows this team. He has a lot of game fill. He complements Caleb Williams. The Jags make things interesting, but I still think the Bears are going to be the leaders. And I want to hear your guys' thoughts in the comment section below, but please hit that like button if you haven't already. Comment what you would offer Ben Johnson in the comment section below, and hit that subscribe button to help us hit 23,000 by next Friday. But with that, thank you as always for tuning in to this episode of Just Another Year Chicago Bears. My name is Nick Brody, and as always, bear down, baby.